Hello there, hope everybody's doing okay, and this is just a little update on the Mlite DSP M Lite 880 here. Okay, I've done quite a few videos on this now, so I just wanted to summarize really what I thought of the radio. It's something quite different. It's the most interesting portable that I've used in a long time. Since I did the first few initial videos, I've also done a comparison with this and the Dawson DX286 using the whip antennas of the radios. So as you know, this Lite Mala or M Lite 880, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't have an internal ferrite rod for medium and long wave. You can use the whip. Now, the whip's not going to be very good clearly on medium wave, but I did a comparison between this and the Dawson, and we also used the AN200 medium wave loop as well. And then I went on to show a tune through the medium wave band here using an external antenna, which was my Bonito Bonnie whip, which works very well on medium wave. If you've watched that, you'll have seen that the Dawson is more sensitive on the whip. It's not a massive surprise because the Dawson really does very well on medium wave with a whip. So it's a little bit more sensitive than this on the whip on medium wave and also on shortwave, interestingly. It's not to say this is bad on shortwave. I would say the Dawson is the best receiver I've got for sensitivity on its whip. You know, this comes a close second, and remember, this does very well on FM. But in terms of medium wave, yeah, the Dawson did beat it. But of course, the M Lite 880, you've got that versatility of single sideband, CW, FM on HF. So this is a real all-rounder. Okay, so I've been very happy with the performance of this. I've also recently tried it with an indoor active loop that I bought, which is the LZ1AQ loop. There's a video on that. You may have already seen it. And this paired very well with that LZ1AQ being used indoors. Really brought this radio to life. So I've had a lot of fun with this. Now, I've seen a couple of other reviews on this radio. There's quite a few around. And one reviewer was, I wouldn't say complaining, but maybe a little bit of criticism around the fact of the coverage of this radio. Now, you'll all know this covers long, medium and shortwave. Covers the 4 meter amateur band, which is in Europe and the UK, 70 megahertz. Covers airband, and it covers the 2 meter amateur radio band, so 144 to 148 megahertz. Really wide coverage. I see this as primarily a shortwave receiver, and I think that's what most people will buy it for. The fact that it has airband, and I know a lot of people like airband, I think is an advantage to it. 4 meters, it was an unexpected bit of coverage. It's surprising it misses out 6 meters, 50 megahertz. There's that gap. And then it goes on to cover 2. VHF, 2 meters. I found this to be quite sensitive. It's certainly comparable to a handheld, 2 meter walkie-talkie. Around that kind of sensitivity. Seems to work well on airband. My personal view is those frequencies anyway are better covered by a scanner, but you've got them in this. So I suppose they could be useful. But, you know, I have heard a little criticism, it doesn't cover 70 centimeters, 440, 430, 440 megahertz. It doesn't cover this, doesn't cover that. It's not a scanner, it's a shortwave receiver. And what it does very well. And I think if you really want efficient coverage of those frequencies, you're going to need a scanner. Because you're literally going to want to scan through those frequencies because there's not a lot of activity there all of the time. So this isn't the radio for you if you want 440 or 430 megahertz. Okay, it's not the radio for you if you want to listen to 6 meters. It hasn't got that coverage. I do find that strange because it's a gap. It goes from 30 to 70. Why not 50? Don't know. I don't know whether that's a limitation of the chipset or whatever. However, as I say, very impressed with this radio. The overall construction seems pretty good. And what's amazed me, although it's heavily menu driven, okay, after a couple of days of using this, I found myself able to quickly go through the menus if I needed to change bandwidth, if I needed to change band, if I needed to change the filters and so on. It becomes second nature very quickly. So I think the menu, and I said this from an early stage, the menu is laid out logically. And it's very easy to get to grips with. Unlike something like, remember this, the worst portable I bought in a very long time, this SDR version 5 thing. Lovely screen. Remember the screen? I'll just turn it on for you. Okay. There we are. Lovely screen, but absolutely awful radio. Okay. Very difficult to use. Horrible system. Horrible user interface. This one, easy to use. Nice user interface. Very flexible. Okay. Got that record facility as well. And this radio performs very well with an external antenna. No signs of overload. Good selectivity. It's like a mini communications receiver, really. So very, very impressed. Couple of observations. I still haven't had time to test the recording, so I've got that to do. I have heard reports that it works very well, so that's that. There's a bias T facility, okay, on this antenna socket. So it'll put a voltage through the antenna line. When I had the active loop, the LZ1AQ on test here, I thought I'll get rid of the bias T interface and I'll feed the antenna through the bias T. Great idea. But the loop, I think in common with a lot of active antennas, wanted a supply, DC supply between 5 and 12 volts. This would not power it. And when I put a meter on this socket, this is putting out just under 4 volts from the bias T. Not surprising, because I think the battery's 3.3 volts. So it's not surprising, is it really? But it's not going to have sufficient, certainly not for that LZ1AQ I had. I don't know what other antennas will take a voltage feed on a bias T. But I'm guessing most of them are going to be looking around the 5 volt mark. So that might be an issue. It may just be this radio. But then again, you know, considering it's powered off, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was a 3.3 volt cell in there. It's not surprising that we're not getting much more out of that socket. So that's just a heads up if you're thinking of using the bias T. But I think this is a brilliant radio. Really, really pleased with it. I wouldn't be without it now. It does everything that most of my communications receivers do here. So that's interesting, you know. And I guess a desktop version of this would be superb, wouldn't it? You know, just for the convenience of having that desktop size and a bit of weight to it. You could have a bigger screen or whatever. That would be excellent. So there it is, the M Lite 880 is far and away superior to, you know, if you think of the current radios that we see on AliExpress, we see on Banggood, you've got the like the Texan 330 and the XHD. I mean, they're good little radios in their own right, but this is, okay, a step up in a big way. And if you get yourself one of these, I think it's worth the extra money, because it's going to be quite a long time before you need to upgrade. Because this does it all, really. It'll be interesting to see if there's future firmware developments. I'm reluctant to upgrade firmware unless there's a really good reason to do so, because you can have issues. This is on firmware 1.2. Don't see any issues with it. Okay, everything seems to work. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if they do bring up updates and whether they're worth doing. As it is, as I say, it operates fine, so I haven't got any criticisms of the firmware. Okay, if you've bought one of these or you're thinking of buying one of these, let me know. If you've got one, always interested to hear what you think. If you've compared it to other radios, again, I would be interested. If I get to go on holiday this year, which I'm hoping I will, but, you know, who knows with the way the world's going, this will be coming with me, and we'll see how it performs in a totally different place. And we'll have a bit of fun with it. So thanks for watching. There will be more videos on this, don't worry, but you're more likely to see it on shorts now when I'm actively using it. I think I've done the testing of it, although I will do a little bit on the recording. We'll have a look at the recording facility. Yeah, enjoy. Thanks for watching.